Good afternoon. I am Roberto Carlos Torres. My pronouns are he, him, él, and I am the Senior Program Manager at the Institute for Local Government. Really excited to be with you all today to share information on resident academies and how those can be used to empower communities. And we have three great examples for how to do that. So on the next slide here, a couple of housekeeping things to note. We are in a webinar mode, so all of our participants are muted and off camera at the moment. But throughout, we will have sections where we'll take any questions, both in the Q&A box as well as live, at which point we'll be able to unmute you so you can ask your question when you'd like at that appropriate time. But as I mentioned, oh, no, we can go back. But as I mentioned, if you have questions throughout any part of the webinar today, please drop those in the Q&A box there that you see the little arrow pointing to. Might look a little different, but it's called Q&A. Please use that for any and all questions, and we'll be monitoring that throughout and using that to ask our panelists any questions as well as any follow-up as needed. If you have any thoughts, comments, you want to show appreciation or agreement with anything that's being shared, definitely feel free to use the chat function for that, where you can share any comments or thoughts, but keep the Q&A for any questions that you might have. And as a reminder, we are recording this, and we'll be able to share that with you shortly after today's webinar. With that, we can go to the next slide to just kind of go over our agenda for today. We're in our welcome and introductions, and then we have three great speakers to talk to you about their resident academies. We're going to start it off with Nevada County, then we're going to hear from the city of American Canyon, and wrap up with the Port of San Diego. After each of our presenters, we will have a space for question and answers that are either in the Q&A box, or if you want to ask those questions at that time, feel free to raise your hand and we'll be able to call on you as well. And then that's going to lead us into kind of a wrap up and adjournment for today. So at any point, again, that you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. Next slide. We also want to know who's in the virtual space with us today. So please do jump into that chat box and put in your name and the agency that you're joining us from. We'd love to know who's joined us today. So please do that. And while you do, if you go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about ILG and what we do. So ILG is a nonprofit statewide organization that really focuses on helping local governments do good government, right? We are the nonprofit training and education affiliate for our three statewide local government associations, including the League of California Cities, or Cal Cities, the California State Association of Counties, or CSAC, as well as the California Special Districts Association, or CSDA. Together with our affiliates, we proudly serve over 2,500 local agencies from all cities, counties, and special districts. And our aim is really to support you with your everyday needs, right? By providing practical and easy to use resources to help you effectively implement policies on the ground and serve your communities. On the next slide, you'll see kind of a list of the programs and services that we provide. We have them split into 4 separate categories, from our leadership and governance space, our civics education and workforce, our sustainable and resilient communities. And today's webinar is brought to you by our public engagement pillar that really focuses on engaging communities and figuring out ways to empower. So as I mentioned, we kind of provide several different services. A lot of them are around education, like our webinar today, and training that we provide, but we also provide capacity building technical assistance and serve as a convener either amongst local governments or your agency and community, or just with subject matter experts all coming together. So we provide a lot of those services. Diving a little deeper into our public engagement pillar on the next slide, we'd like to talk a bit about some of the things that we focus on, particularly with our public engagement and equity work. Really, our focus is in helping local governments build trust with the communities that you serve, foster those important partnerships with nonprofit organizations or other community stakeholders to really empower and embolden communities and help you serve your communities more effectively. And we can do that by providing staff training on what are the public engagement best practices, to just how to identify the partnerships through different tactics such as community landscape analysis and power analyses, all these different forms that ILG is able to really support you in. So if ever there is a question or if you're just looking at how to better engage or reach out to your communities, ILG is definitely able to help you, particularly in our public engagement pillar. So next slide here, we want to start off with just a Zoom instant poll. We'd like to know from you, how do you engage your communities currently? And so there should be a poll on your screen right now that asks you just one multiple choice question, and that's, how does your agency engage the community? So we'll take a minute to let folks respond. All right, great. We're seeing great responses here. So let me go ahead and seeing a few more folks participate. All right. Let me share those results here. This is great. So a majority of you, of course, are using the traditional methods, which is using community workshops, virtual meetings, posting information on your social media channels or on your website, which is fantastic. We also see folks, of course, identifying using public hearings, so using your either board of supervisor, council, or commission meetings to host hearings like that. That's great. Now we're seeing 62% of those who responded that you focus on being out in the community, right? So doing community events, pop-ups, really being out and utilizing the community events that are already taking place, which is awesome. As well as we see 50% have said that they work with nonprofits and community organizations to host engagement events. Great. Being able to have those partnerships is really great. It's good to see that in the room. Also really happy to see that we have a few of you who are using Resident Academies. And so we're definitely excited to hear from you today as well in the Q&A session. So thank you all for participating in that Zoom poll. We really appreciate that as a way to just kind of know a little bit more about who's in the audience and hear about the different ways that you're engaging your community. So thank you for participating. Next slide, please. So as we're talking today about empowering communities through the use of Resident Academies, we wanted to build a little bit of context setting, particularly around what we mean through building, empowering communities and building that community trust. So on the next slide, the first thing we like to do is talk about the IAP2 spectrum that we see. That's the International Association of Public Participation spectrum that talks about the different ways and the different tools for the public to be able to participate in local decision making. On one end of the spectrum, you have Inform, which is really about providing information and letting communities know of what's going on, all the way to that Empower state, right? Where you're able to have decision making happen at the local level, right? So think of democracy and being able to vote in elections, right? But there are definitely other levels in there, everything from consulting the community. So that goes to informing them and seeking opinion on a reaction on what's going on, to involving them, right? This is part of the engagement process in terms of actually letting them influence some of the projects that are in place, as well as collaborate, where you're able to work collectively with the community to develop policies, programs, things of that nature. We like to show the spectrum to show you that there is a spread of how we engage our communities. Everything from doing that outreach piece and informing all the way to being able to collaborate or empower. And we see with Resident Academies that that can really help get you into the collaborate and empower phase. On this next slide here, we like to also talk a little bit about how engagement is a form of being able to advance equity. And what we kind of mean also when we're talking about equity and that difference between equity and equality, right? When we think about equity, what we're really looking to do is to ensure that everyone has what they need to understanding the different circumstances, conditions, or barriers that they're facing in order to be a, a fair player or to understand kind of what's going on, right? Resident Academies is a really good tool to really level that playing field of understanding so that they understand what is the role of your agency, how can they influence decision making, or how does the day-to-day work happen in your local agencies, right? Equity is really about getting to equality, but doing so in a way that it addresses the needs and understanding of each individual or each community being different. We do like to highlight the importance that there is historical inequities that persist by simply looking at things from an equal lens, right? And so if we don't do things to actively break down barriers or to bring people up from disadvantaged backgrounds, we're essentially perpetuating those inequities moving forward. So that equity lens is really important to understand what's their starting point and how can you get everyone to advance equally. Now, when we look at equity, it does require us to be intentional in how we do that, right? Intentional in understanding what the impacts are to the community, to intentional to serving the needs and particular circumstances of those communities. And we like to acknowledge that that can be done through authentic engagement. And Resident Academies is one of those tools to really authentically engage. And we're really excited to hear from our three panelists on exactly how they've been doing that and how that supported the communities. So next slide. Just talks a little bit, as I mentioned, what authentic public engagement is. There are usually 4 tenets that we're seeing, and you'll see them discussed with our panelists of being inclusive, being accessible, really focusing on the dialogue, on the two-way forms of communication, and also something that is culturally competent, ensuring that the information is relevant and the message is reflective of the community. So as you're seeking to empower communities and have that authentic engagement, these are the 4 tenets you really want to look at and ensure are being incorporated with everything that you do. Next slide. So we have one more Zoom poll for you that we would like to share. And this is just in understanding, and I think we have some folks already. Do you have a resident academy? Does your agency currently have a resident academy? We definitely anticipate the majority will say no. We love that you're joining us here to learn about the benefits of them. As resident academies are a really great tool to provide education to your community, a better understanding, as well as a lot of support. So please, I see those responses coming in. I'll share that in a moment. For those of you who are aware of resident academies or who have some, we'd love to just get that information from you. So if you could share the contact information on who to contact, we'd love to gather that. So please take some time to respond to that. But I think at this moment, we're good on it. So I'm going to end the poll there, share the results. Again, no surprise. We're seeing a majority of you don't have resident academies so far. So welcome. We're really excited to have you and have you learn from our panelists. So with that, if we go to the next slide, like I said, please do share the information. If you weren't able to do that in the Zoom poll, drop it in the chat for any resident academies that you might be familiar with and who a point of contact is. Please do that in the chat. Next slide here now talks about our three panelists today, where I'm pleased to bring to you Allison Lehman from Nevada County, who will talk about their academy, as well as Ali Ikeda from the city of American Canyon. And we're going to close it out with Michael G. Brown from the Port of San Diego. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass this off to our first presenter for today, Allison from Nevada County.
Great. Thank you so much, Roberto. Really appreciate the interest in this topic, and I'm excited to share with all of you what we call in Nevada County our Citizens Academy. I'm also eager to learn from my colleagues from other areas in terms of more about their program and what we could do better with ours. So to put some context around this, I want to talk a little bit about Nevada County. Nevada County is a small rural county in Northern California. We're in between Sacramento and Tahoe. We serve 100,000 residents, and we have 3 incorporated cities ranging from population of 3,000 to 17,000 residents. Those cities include City of Grass Valley, Nevada City, and the town of Truckee. We are considered an older community with 30% of our residents over the age of 65. Many of our residents are transplants from Southern California or the Bay Area, and they have come here to retire. We're also considered a highly educated community with 95% high school graduation rates, and 40% of our residents hold bachelor's degrees or higher. And then politically, Nevada County is considered to be a purple county. We're nearly 50-50 split between Democratic and Republican voter registration. And we are a community that loves our politics. So that translates to being very engaged, having very active community conversations, and this engagement can sometimes manifest into strong disagreements on complex issues such as development and homelessness. How do we mitigate fires and housing issues? So next slide, please. So when we were creating the academy, we wanted to design a program that was important not only to connect citizens with county staff, but also to build a community connection. We wanted to foster community conversations and really build that connection among our participants. So in 2013, when I was serving as the assistant CEO, my predecessor, Rick Happy, had this vision of a Citizens Academy. And he asked me to design a program that would educate our citizens on how local government works, while creating a space for community dialogue. The core belief was that the more our community understood how their government operated, then the stronger partnerships that we would be able to develop in solving our community issues. So I started off talking to my counterparts in other jurisdictions. I researched programs online, and there was really little information out there at the time on academies that were just focused on local government. So I found lots of academies in terms of law enforcement academies. I found academies that were leadership academies sponsored by your Chamber of Commerce, but there was very little out there at the time in terms of local government of cities or counties. So we knew that we had to have an engaging program. And I know all of us are trained bureaucrats and we're very confident in our staff reports and our PowerPoints, but we knew that we would have to do more than that if we wanted people to sign up and then continue to attend the 10 sessions. At the time, I had 2 young children attending a charter school, which was expeditionary learning. And I really drew from inspiration from that learning model where the curriculum was integrated with field work. So these concepts of hands-on activities, experiential learning really became central to our design. Each of our classes of the 10-week program, so 10 classes, they feature tours and interactive activities and opportunities for discussion. We allow lots of times for participants to engage with government officials, with staff, in a really tangible and meaningful way. So the next slide is going to capture what our goals of the program. Our goals were really, I think the slide goes the next slide. There we go. Was to create engaging and interactive program that would capture the interest of our community. We wanted to provide an opportunity for citizens to meet with government officials and to engage in meaningful dialogue. We wanted to offer a forum where we could learn from our residents through those conversations, find out how we're doing, where can we improve, what was even the perception in terms of how we were delivering those services. We're also providing a venue where we could welcome new ideas and explore that with the class participants. It was also important to build community relationships, not just between the citizens, but also our class participants. Next slide. So from the start, we were very intentional about our outreach and inviting a diverse group. We felt that the diversity of the group was going to be an important element of the conversations and the classwork moving forward. Our first class we called a pilot. We knew that it would continue to evolve, and then we reached out to a class of 24 of community leaders, the cross-section of our community, and asked them to attend the first class and provide feedback on our design. We also invited our local media to the first series of classes. We felt that not only would it help them in terms of their reporting to better understand our county operations, but in the long run would also help with the promotion of our program if they went through it and understood it. The subsequent classes, we relied on word of mouth, recommendations from participants. We promoted the Academy through traditional forms in terms of social media, press releases, and radio. And the program quickly gained a reputation as people went through it. They enjoyed it. We had more people actually applying for the program than we had slots for. We also found that this was a program that individuals would take when they were thinking about running for office. And in fact, 2 of our 5 board of supervisors participated in the Academy before they were elected. And I actually saw one of our city council people on the call who is an alumni and attended before he became a city council person. So in terms of the next slide, we'll talk about key outcomes of the Academy. We're offering citizens behind the scenes look of how our government operates, incorporating their feedback to improve our service delivery. Graduates become our ambassadors for the county, helping us share our story and offering insights when needed. We're humanizing government by building authentic relationships between the county, staff, and our citizens. And we're continuing to see the demand for the program grow, which tells us that we are on course of providing what our community is expecting. Next slide. So here's a quote from one of our participants, and Nicole says that Citizens Academy is one of the best, most robust internal looks of our county's government. Not only were the directions of each department great public speakers, but I have since established a personal connection with some of them, which has aided in the work we do as a nonprofit. I walked away feeling proud of our local leadership and impressed with the philosophy of our local government. Many of our nonprofit leaders attend the Academy, and it's very true. It's great brainstorming sessions in terms of where we integrate and expand and improve services as a system. Next slide. So the next slide will show pictures of our classes. Each class, as mentioned before, are designed to be highly interactive. And the top two pictures, the first one on the left, we go out to the county airport where we're co-located with CAL FIRE. CAL FIRE brings out their airplanes. The participants get to see how the airplanes are fueled with the fire retardant. They get to meet the crew from CAL FIRE, as well as talk and meet with airport staff. The right side, when we talk about our internal services and we talk about information systems, we actually take the class into the back of our operations and show them our internal controls and how we build in redundancies for IT and all the different systems that we need to provide these state and federal services to our residents. I'm often surprised how few of our participants have actually ever gone on our county transit system. So we make sure that we provide the bus rides to and from our field work to give that experience, but we're also able to talk about our transit system and how convenient it is with the fixed routes. We go to the library, but we do a deep dive at our library and talk about all the untraditional services that we provide, such as you could check out recreation equipment, robotics kits, and telescopes and more. We talk about our programming, and then we also talk about what programming the community wants to see, and then where can we partner to enhance programming in our library area. So the next slide will show that we have 150 graduates to date, and we did take a break during COVID. We did try doing this online. It was not very effective. So we really listened to the feedback, and people really liked the peer interaction, and as well as going out in the field and seeing people face to face. The next slide will talk about some of our challenges. I would say that our number one challenge is scaling. So we have limited our class to 24. We've explored increasing the numbers due to how logistically heavy and the time it takes to produce one academy. However, we are limited in terms of some of the field work that we do. An example is that we do take people through the jail, and we're limited on how many people could actually go through. We're also limited in terms of transportation. And then I think what we really found is that people really wanted those connections with their class, and having a smaller class, we're able to support that. Other challenges that we experienced was that we found that a lot of our own employees were actually signing up for this class. So we actually replicated this class to have an employee academy, which has really fostered interdepartment collaboration. And then scheduling. Scheduling is always very hard, especially when you're working with senior executives to come and make presentations in the evening. So we do welcome them sending a designee, but what we have found is that they show up and that they enjoy it, but scheduling it out and getting on people's calendars is important. The next slide, we'll talk about budget. So the hard costs of our program are around $8,600, not including the staff time. We time study to this program. It takes about 90 hours to produce a 10-week series once a week. We do feed our class, so we built in a catering budget. So it's a light meal when they come each evening. It gives some time for people to connect over a meal. And then we also have dollars that we contribute to our marketing and outreach, including, paid ads and some direct marketing that we do for the program. Next slide. So here's our class schedule. The first two classes, we really build on the foundation of who we are, what we do, and how we do it. The second class really focuses on county finances, which could be super boring for some people. However, we've created this really fun interactive game to challenge our participants, often the same challenges that our board of supervisors have in terms of your resources are only this big, the need is this big, and how are you going to meet the community need within the resources that we have. Then every following module incorporates a field trip to a facility, and either where they're interactive activities where maybe they're seeing special equipment or actually getting tours of buildings they've never got a tour of. So an example of that, one of our most popular classes is public safety, where our sheriff brings individuals and participants go through the whole booking process as if you were going to jail, and then a full tour of the jail, and then in jail food. And people really appreciate seeing that firsthand, the experience of that service. Another popular module is our health and human services and the array of services that are provided for our community in terms of safety net services, from social services, public assistance programs, to behavioral health, to housing, and how are those integrated to serve our community. We end our academy with a graduation and a fireside chat with two of our board of supervisors, where participants come with their questions, and it's really a fun, informal conversation with our elected officials on what they've learned, what surprised them, and then questions in terms of how the county is moving forward on different issues. Next slide. So a few more pictures to give you a feel of our class. You can see in the top right corner, our class really ranges in age. Each class, we make sure that we have a couple of high school students that really bring in great energy to our group. The picture that I really appreciate is the picture to the top right. And like many jurisdictions, we really had a hard time during the pandemic, and our board meetings were highly contentious, and our community was divided in terms of our response. And in that picture, there are individuals who actually came to public comment that really felt differently on the issue, and probably at the time would really have a hard time connecting. And I think this picture demonstrates that not only are they connecting, but they're enjoying each other, and they got to really know each other on a human level, which I believe will just help us move, these really hard community issues and conversations forward. Next slide. So to close out the conversation, I'll close out with another quote from one of our attendees, and then a picture of our graduates. This person said, "The Citizens Academy was a fantastic learning experience. I was amazed at the wide range of services Nevada County provides for us. It made me proud to be a citizen of Nevada County." And we found that at the end of 10 sessions, and not all the conversations were easy, and there were lots of hard conversations, but people left with high respect for each other and a sense of pride and connection to their local government, which really exceeded our expectation of any program that we would put in place. And our last slide really just shows our happy graduates, who completed the 10-week module, and they actually stay connected with the county in many ways. And so with every graduate, we really do have someone who's out there helping us tell our story, as well as getting people connected to services that they need. So with that, I want to thank you, and I could open up for questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison. We do have a few questions. And as a reminder, again, please do drop those in the chat, in the Q&A box, so that we can call on them. Allison, the first question was whether this was all limited to Nevada County residents. Someone says it sounds like fun, and it does. But
Yeah, so it wasn't intentionally limited to Nevada County residents, but that's who has applied. So we have not had anyone outside of our county apply. And if someone from outside of our county would apply, we would accept their application just because we really believe in regional approaches in terms of our service delivery system being a small rural county.
awesome. Thank you for that. And we got another question about kind of the participation numbers and how that's changed through the course of the academy.
So we capped it at 24. We've always had 24 participants and high graduation rates. I can't think of any class where we've actually lost participants halfway through. However, to participate, you have to fill out an application. There is an interview with staff. So there is a commitment on the front end. And so at times people, and then we also set expectations that you could only miss 2 classes to quote unquote graduate. And people seem to respect that. Either they drop out saying they don't have time for it on the front end, or they honor that time commitment.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have a question of, can you talk about what role the facilitators played?
Yeah, great question. And I should have talked a little bit about that. So we actually hired an outside facilitator. We wanted someone to come in with strong facilitation skills, as well as a neutral party. As I mentioned before, with our community, we really want to make sure there was bridge building, and we were going to talk about issues that we knew were going to be very contentious in our community. We also were very sensitive not to have individuals to come and maybe hijack the process for a certain platform. And so having strong facilitation was important. So the facilitator really sets the tone. She keeps us on time. And then she also has the skills to, let people know that we'll follow up with them offline, or talk about how do we want to handle, maybe a contentious conversation. And then she's also able to bring resolution for the group as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We have a question on what was the time frame for each session?
So the time frame is we start at 5 p.m. and we go until 7:30 in the evening. And that's why we provide a meal. Often people are coming straight from work. And we have talked to our participants through surveys in terms of dates and times that work the best. And this is the time that seems to work. Either Tuesday or Thursday seems to work best for participants, the feedback that we received.
Great. And can you talk a little bit about the criteria to select participants?
So we look at bringing people from different backgrounds, demographics. We are a community that does not have a lot of diversity. We have a lot of diversity in terms of, so not a lot of diversity in demographics, but we have a wide range of diversity in terms of thought. And so we make sure that the Academy represents our community and that it's well-rounded. And in doing so, we reach out to our different nonprofits. We also, a great recruitment tool is have your current Academy participants recommend people that they would want to attend in the future.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I have another question on how is the effort funded? They're especially interested in the food.
Yeah, it's general fund. So that's something that you'll have to work with your finance as well as your auditor. But we treat it as a town hall community outreach event, and it is all general fund funded. The program is also managed through the CEO's office and not through a department where maybe you have more traditional outreach programs through Health and Human Services or Parks and Recreation. We felt that was important to really have this macro view of our enterprise and also the close connection to our elected officials to help bridge that as well.
Awesome. Okay, and I think we have two more panelists, so this might be the last question, but there are a few other ones in the Q&A. So afterwards, Allison, if you want to take a look and answer those questions, that'd be great. But I'll take this question from Stephen Buckley. He says, the photo of people talking with each other, what module was that? What happened in order for them to talk like that?
Oh, I don't remember what the topic was. I just recommend that the individuals as highly engaged citizens that we've had lots of interaction with over the year. And historically, these were individuals that you would never see in the same events, the same venues. And it just really showed how the Academy brought them together. And clearly in that picture, they were enjoying themselves at a very human level.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Allison, for
Thank
your
you.
presentation. I know we'll have you still, so if there's any other questions at the end, we might have some time to answer those as well. But really appreciate it and really love hearing the great work
All
in
right.
Nevada County.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, so now I'd like to pass the floor off to Ali from our City of American Canyon to talk a bit about the Resident Academy they have put together and how things are going there.
Great, thank you. So yes, I go by Allie. I'm with the City of American Canyon, been here for almost 3 years. And American Canyon is located in the Bay Area within Napa County. We were incorporated in 1992, so we're a fairly young city. We have a lot of retired military, be very close to Travis Air Force Base, as well as Mare Island. And our population is continuing to grow. We are budding up to about 22,000 people. And we are proud to be the most diverse city within Napa County, with 37 different languages other than English spoken in the home. Additionally, about 25% of our population is under the age of 18, and we take pride in celebrating our cultural and ethnic diversity, which is one of the many reasons why American Canyon is the best place to live, work, and play. Next slide, please. So we are committed to fostering growth and learning for all ages. That's why we are so proud of the 3 different dynamic academies, which are designed to inspire, educate, and empower our community. First, we have our traditional Citizens Academy, which is designed for residents and business owners. This program has it's an 11-week program with 8 class sessions. And roughly each class is about 2 hours. It does happen on a weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. Participants will get a behind-the-scenes look at the city's infrastructure, including a guided tour to our reclamation facility and water treatment plant. And the transportation is provided by our partner, which is Napa Valley Transportation Authority. The program also includes a volunteer initiative. We are proud of our community service-minded community. We actually work with 21 different nonprofit organizations, and so we really do try to hone in on those that community mindset, and we incorporate a volunteer opportunity at the end of this program, focusing on a project where those individuals can learn to plan, coordinate, and execute a volunteer project that can make a real difference and lasting difference within our community. Our second academy, this is where we work with our high school students. This is a partnership with the Napa Valley Unified School District, and it's designed exclusively for students at the American Canyon High School. This 6-session program is held monthly in partnership with our social studies department. So the city and the school district partner together. We come in and we teach the students about local government because they're already doing curriculum around government in general. And so we like to have more of that localized educational and curriculum tied into that program. So city staff come in and teach high school students about what we do. Also, in addition, the curriculum is integrated to the City State of the City Roadshow. And this is more where students receive an update directly from our city manager on community progress, plans for the future, and they have a chance to engage with city leaders. The program not only educates our students about the civic progress, but also empowers them to become more informed and active participants in shaping the future within our community. And lastly, we have our Employee Academy, which is designed for all city employees. This is an 8-week program that is offered once a week, where city staff attend the sessions as part of a city-paid training program. It provides staff with valuable insight and professional development opportunities, fostering a deeper understanding for city operations, enhanced collaboration, and strengthening teamwork across our departments. Next slide, please. So there's many intentions as to why we do what we do with these academies, but they're really designed with the core belief that an informed and engaged community is the foundation to a thriving city. Through our programs, we aim to empower our residents, business owners, students, and employees by educating them and teaching them about local government, city operations, and community involvement. By fostering a greater awareness and understanding, we help build lasting connections across diverse groups, strengthen civic engagement, empower future community leaders, and enhance the community's quality of life. And we cultivate informed advocates for our city. That's probably one of the main reasons is we really do have citizen cheerleaders once they do go through our program, because they're able to really understand how city government works, how our resources are allocated, and they are also able to connect with city staff. Most of the time when there's an issue or a problem, the community doesn't really know who to go to. And so with these academies, all of our department heads are leading these sessions. And so the community is actually able to engage directly with staff and have a name and a face to be able to go to if they need something, or if they just want to talk to them. So our goal is to create a more connected and knowledgeable community while working together to shape a brighter future for American Canyon. Our communities also serve as a pathway to a greater civic involvement through our 3 city commissions. So not only do our academies, we're able to engage with them, but we've also saw a lot of our participants either running for city council, or they participate in our city commissions. We have 3 here. We have a Parks and Community Services Commission. We have an Open Space, Active Transportation and Sustainability Commission. And then we have our Planning Commission. So we do see a lot of, I guess you can say, feeder into these, like into our elected positions as well as appointed positions. For our high school seniors, we also have within our commissions, we have a youth commissioner on all of our commissions. This is a unique opportunity for the youth of our community to serve and participate and get the perspective of our youth regarding specific issues or recommendations that may be important to this community or to the council. And so each year, we choose 1 senior at American Canyon High School to sit on our commission for the full school year, and it would be from October to May. And then they don't have a lot of our commissions there. Other than the Planning Commission, they don't make decisions on behalf of the council, but they can engage and provide feedback on recommendations that do get up to council for policy-driven decisions. Additionally, these academies integrate seamlessly with our outreach efforts by incorporating the city manager's updates, a bi-weekly newsletter before and post council meetings, highlighting important notices, opportunities for community involvement, upcoming projects and events. This serves as a consistent touch point to keep residents informed and engaged, fostering long-term trust and transparency. We have noticed that through this entire suite of things that we do from the Citizens Academy to our council, to our commission, to our updates from our city manager, we have noticed that our engagement and our subscriber list has grown over the last couple of years. And then lastly, the last part of all of this is tying in our State of the City Roadshow, which serves as a dynamic platform to share our achievements and provide updates to our community about the progress and future plans. reaching all of our diverse audience through various formats and locations. So when we say a roadshow, it really is a traditional roadshow. We actually take this session on the road. We attend the Chamber of Commerce luncheon where we do a business perspective. We go out to the community at our adult activity center and we provide an in-service session there. We do a YouTube option where we video record it and we share it. And so that way we're trying to engage and reach as many residents as we can and share with them all the wonderful things that we're trying to do. Next slide, please. Like I mentioned above, traditionally right now our Citizens Academy is 8 sessions. This would give you a kind of a snapshot of what we do focus on. Each session, you'll notice that it's going to be very similar with the employee to the high school to the Citizens Academy, where each night is dedicated towards one department, I guess you can say. So you'll learn about finance, HR and IT, community development, parks and recreation, public works, maintenance and utilities, police, fire, and then the tour. And then lastly, they'll do their project and graduation. The only difference between the employee and the high school academy is the high school doesn't do a volunteer project. Instead, they actually have the State of the City Roadshow that comes in. And then we also do a survey with those students to really understand what's important to them, because they most likely will be going off to college, and a lot of them do come back and decide to live in American Canyon. So we want to hear from them, from their perspective. And so that's the only difference between the actual traditional Citizens Academy versus the high school and the Employee Academy. So our budget is rooted in a grassroots effort, prioritizing high community engagement and initiative while maintaining while the program costs are fairly minimal. Although our academies do not impose a significant financial burden on our organization, they do require commitment of staff time through 3 academies. And this does include our public outreach efforts, our State of the City Roadshow production. That's a pretty big production when it comes to the video and the in-person meetings. But the return on investment is priceless. We are able to cultivate citizen cheerleaders and really build those connections with individuals. And again, educating them on what we do or why we are doing what we're doing. That's most importantly, I think, as Allison has explained earlier, there's a lot of political things that go on in a city, and people don't really understand why certain resources are allocated to certain things. And it really does give us the opportunity to educate them and have them understand like how our council make decisions, and really part of that is the feedback that they receive from the community and their constituents, and then prioritizing based off of whatever else that they need to weed through. Next slide, please. So since the creation of our Citizens Academy, which is in 2015, we've had over 200 graduates move through our program. And in 2024, we have 21 participants currently registered right now. On average, our classes can range anywhere between 20 to 30 participants. We do focus mainly on American Canyon residents and business owners because, again, those are the ones that are here in our community and where we can make the most impact and the most connection with them. Next slide, please. And that is all that I have for you today. If you want to find out more information about our program, we do have a website that is that you can visit. Other than that, thank you for your time today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Allie. That was really great, and love hearing how it does foster kind of that empowerment in the community, and you create kind of community champions and leaders through this effort. So folks, if you have questions, again, feel free to drop them in the Q&A, or also raise your hand and we're happy to call on you that way. Ali, I'll ask you kind of the same question that was posed to Allison, just on how's the participation levels been for the academies, particularly I'll say the Citizen Academy.
So for us, like I mentioned, we're pretty lucky. Majority of our population are community service oriented. Like I said, we work with 21 different nonprofit organizations here in American Canyon. And a lot of the times that's how we get some projects and things done, is through our volunteer efforts. And the participation within our Citizens Academy is, I would say it's fairly similar. These are individuals that really want to give back and make a difference, and they just don't know how. And they want to learn more about our city and how they can be involved and engaged, and incorporate themselves into being one of those individuals that can, join a nonprofit or even create their own nonprofit, or, make a difference through other ways of getting projects done. We really do try to empower our community to assist with a lot of the, we don't have unlimited funding. I think that's fair to say for many cities, and really empowering your volunteers to be able to get things done and work with them is, that's what this program does. It specifically teaches them how to do that, like how to put on a volunteer project, how to get things done through people other than just city staff. And so it just really is kind of rooted into our culture and our city. And we're just very lucky that we have community-oriented people here.
Awesome. Great. We got another question here. How did you break up your sessions? What different ways did you engage participants, and what was the most successful in your opinion?
So each session, like I said, is designed around different functions of the city. And that is, there is a team of us. It's not just one person sitting in the room making the schedule. It's all the department heads, and we come together and we get a day and we actually make our own curriculum. So we don't have a lot of stipulation around what has to be done. We do try to tie in, like for a high school, Citizens High School Academy, we do have a curriculum that we want to meet because we're partnering with the social studies department. But for us, it's really about educating our community about what we do, and the different nuances of each department and the great things that we do, or even the challenges. I think it's fair to, when you're in this setting, that you can be honest and transparent about, some of the challenges. Like some people may feel very strongly that, money needs to be allocated towards fixing your streets. And then somebody's gonna be like, well, no, I want you to build me a brand new park and a gymnasium. And so it's just really, you can form, what we do is each night is designed around each of those departments, and we try to throw in the things that we've accomplished, the things that we do, why we do what we do, and then maybe challenges and issues that we want to hear feedback from the community. But each department, it's really up to each department head to really come up with their curriculum for each of those nights.
All right, cool. And we got a question here on how you recruit youth for either the commission or just to be a part of the academy. Is it, they ask specifically, is it direct outreach to the high school students, or are you working with the administration?
Both. So we have strong ties with our school administration, where we actually work closely with the government classes, and we'll send the flyers and the recruitment information directly to those teachers. In addition, we do our own marketing communications through our city manager's update, our Parks and Recreation newsletter, our social media platforms on our website. We push it out to the community in general, because we know that just going through the schools isn't going to be the only option we should be doing. So we try to, again, reach out to those students. And then if there's specific clubs like sustainability, we have a sustainability club, a climate action club over at the high school. So we do reach out to them specifically for Open Space, Active Transportation, and Sustainability Commission. And so we do work with the school as well as do our own communications and marketing around trying to recruit those high school seniors.
Awesome. All right, so this might be the last question we'll take here, but definitely there's a couple others if you want to answer those once you're done. But there's a question on your selection process. How does that look? Is it a paper application? Is it online? Are there interviews? Can you kind of just talk about that a bit?
So we actually, like I said, we advertise for this academy, just like it's a regular program. They fill out an application, they can apply, and then we compile all that information. And like I said, our classes can range anywhere between 20 to 30 people. And so we try not to turn anybody away. And it really is designed for American Canyon residents and business owners. And so it's just an application process that we, again, publicize out to the community ahead of time through our social media channels, our newsletters, and flyers, and to our community members. And then we open up the application process, they apply, and then it closes, and then we go through the applications, and then we invite those individuals to participate in the academy.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ali, for your time. It's great to hear what you're doing there at American Canyon, so really appreciate it. Like I mentioned, I think there's a couple questions there in the Q&A if you have a moment to just answer those in the type, but really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And so now we'll go to our final presenter, Michael Brown from the Port of San Diego, to talk about what's going on there in their Citizen Academy.
Thank you, Roberto. Knowing that we would have two really smart and dynamic presenters in Allison and Ali, and that they would really well cover the why and the what, my focus will be on impacts and outcomes. So historically, the Port of San Diego was on the inform end of the IAP2 spectrum. And in the last 10 years or so, we've really come to, to own the collaboration space. And we've won many awards for collaborating for our public outreach. And it's highly effective as we plan new parks. But we all recognize there's always room to do better. And so the Port of San Diego does not have residents. We're a special district. We're a public benefit corporation, and we have 5 member cities. And those are San Diego, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, National City, and Coronado. And we're what we call a real estate port. So we own 34 miles of real estate on San Diego Bay of waterfront. So really choice real estate. And we derive our revenue from hotels, marinas, yacht clubs, and attractions. So typically we take a percentage of their gross revenue. And we also do cruise and cargo, as well as shipbuilding and ship repair. And what we realized was that we had an opportunity to demystify what we do, behind the walls, right, to the shipyards. And in some of our portside communities that are underserved and that happen to also have a high incidence of asthma and other respiratory illnesses, there was correctly concern about emissions from the port. And these communities are also located right up against I-5. But the port, wanting to be good citizens, good neighbors, we commissioned studies on what sources of emission were generated on port tidelands. And so the commission and the staff set to work on becoming a port of first. So we are working quickly to significantly reduce emissions. We just commissioned the 2 first all-electric cranes in all of North America. This spring, we launched the first all-electric tugboat in North America. We have shore power for cruise ships and cargo ships to plug in. We are converting our fleet of vehicles and terminal equipment to all electric. So we created this academy for the same reasons that Allison and Ali described, for the reasons they created their academies, to better inform people, to engage them, to create trust, create understanding, and to create a forum for collaboration. It's also a feeder for the port's committees that we have, citizen committees. But I want to focus on the results of the academy. So we launched last fall. The first cohort had 30 people, and we measure everything we do. We measure and adjust and assess. So we tracked success through rigorous data collection, including attendance records, participant feedback, and social media engagement. And feedback was overwhelmingly positive. It's not just, my mother saying that, it was the participants who said it. So we, with metrics showing high levels of satisfaction and understanding. So we use the Microsoft Forms tool to survey participants, and it provided valuable insights into the effectiveness and the impact of the program. We collected both quantitative and qualitative data. And of the 30 graduates from the first cohort, 17 participated in the assessments. Key findings included high levels of interest and engagement, with an average rating of 4.7 out of 5 stars for overall interest in the content and 4.8 for understanding the material, which was really important because a good bit of the material was really quite technical. And 100% of the participants felt that the Academy either met or exceeded their expectations. And feedback was also solicited from staff and the consultant team, and a lessons learned meeting was held to identify areas for improvement. And here are some direct insights from Academy graduates. Graduates of the Academy provided feedback, with many expressing a newfound passion for the Port's initiatives. We were especially pleased to see that people really understood the technical material and found it interesting. The feedback is a testament to the Academy's effectiveness in creating informed community ambassadors. And a couple of quotes I'll share. One is, participating in the Academy helped me understand the overall vision of the Port to modernize its operations while considering the health and well-being of the community around it. Hearing the planning and research that was conducted to ensure these transformations happen without negatively impacting the community, as has historically been the case for large infrastructure projects, allows me to feel supported. And another said, I'm really glad to see that Port was not just about what the Port does, but also how it is doing it and for whom. The minorities are never considered, but in the case of clean air, neighborhood growth, and community, the Port is really working hard to be all-inclusive. I learned so much. I can't wait for the future. And anecdotally, some of the graduates came to the first Board of Port Commissioners meeting following their graduation. 5 of them spoke, all from remarks that they had written themselves. And several of them made the observation that 20 years ago, they were actively opposing and protesting the Port. Now that they said they can count us among our champions, our ambassadors, our advocates, they understand and they trust us to do the right thing. And again, that is a departure. It's not simply that people now understand what we're doing and how we're doing it. How we operated historically was not in the best interest of those who live near the Port tidelands. And certainly now those community members are taken into consideration. Their health is considered. So for program outcomes, we have a total of 55 graduates. We have more than 300 people on the waiting list. And the chairman of the board recognized just how impactful and effective the Academy is. So this spring, he called and asked if I would consider doubling the number of cohorts. So I said, yes, sir, of course. All we need is more money. And so the board obliged. We launched 2 cohorts this fall, 2 more planned in the spring. One of this fall's cohorts is all in Spanish. Roberto, to your point earlier about being accessible and culturally competent, all materials, even in the English-speaking cohorts, are available in Spanish. For the Spanish cohort, we have live translation in Spanish. People have headphones. As many presentations as possible are given in Spanish. I made my welcome remarks in Spanish, and I'm certainly not bilingual, but I will tell you, it was extraordinarily well received. And it was an opportunity for me to connect with those who live near the Port. There was one word I kept stumbling over, and about the 3rd time that I came to the word, those who were in the class were saying the word with me. Someone said, it's a really difficult word, even for me, even for us. And after 10 minutes, someone yelled out, "Michael for president." And the point there simply is that, you know, building connection with community members was one of our goals. And I really feel like we're achieving that. And that's just an anecdote to illustrate that connections are being made and connecting on an authentic level, a human level. And we have been asked to expand the offerings to an academy for elected officials, an academy for seniors, and an academy for port employees. So certainly we'll explore those. We're likely to do those. These academies have really been targeted to community leaders at the grassroots, so not elected officials. In the current cohorts, we do have a number of people who are staff members to elected officials, and 2 who are on their city's planning commissions. So really valuable people to have learn more about the port. And some of the lessons learned are that are about community engagement, curriculum development, and program measurement. And these insights are crucial for any public agency looking to implement a similar initiative effectively. I have 5 tips for you. First is, one of the best things we did was to engage our subject matter experts early. So the communications team and the outside consultants developed draft materials and then worked closely with the subject matter experts to refine them. So something else we did was, as I mentioned, we solicited feedback at every stage and allowed us to make adjustments on the fly. And we were open to feedback, and we took suggestions as we built the program. We certainly made many refinements for the spring cohorts. We did lots of surveys, as I mentioned. We took group photos, we shared the photos, and we encouraged the participants so that it felt more organic, more authentic, to create their own groups on social media. So there's now a Facebook group for Portside Community Academy graduates. There's a LinkedIn group. They share and post their material on Instagram and Facebook. And we really helped foster a team dynamic, which was important. I think Ali mentioned that, and it's something that we're achieving with our academy. And we also recognize that the graduation ceremony is a meaningful time for graduates to post photos of themselves with their certificate, to bring family members. We subsequently invited them to a board meeting, as I mentioned, and that's happened twice now. We have 2 completed cohorts. Following each graduation, a number of the recent grads came and spoke to our board, and we now have board members who are speaking in the academy classes. So there's lots of word of mouth, lots of buzz about the academy. And even though we've doubled the number of cohorts, we still have as I mentioned, more than 300 people on the waiting list. And we have elected officials who are expressing interest in participating. So we'll certainly create probably an abbreviated academy for them, recognizing that they have lots of demands on their time. So those were some highlights of some of the impacts, and happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Michael, for all that information. I'll ask you the question that kind of has been asked to all the others about how have you seen the participation in your Resident Academy?
Right. So ours are 5 sessions. Each session is 90 minutes to 2 hours. We also provide a meal. It's really rare that someone who starts doesn't finish. If they do, it's usually for circumstances beyond their control. People are highly engaged. They really enjoy the content. They enjoy meeting one another, making new friends, feeling a connection with the port. We're an economic engine for our region, and we have found that they remain engaged. So we look for ways that we can proactively include them. Whenever we do a groundbreaking for a park, or a ribbon cutting for a park, or the commissioning of the cranes that I mentioned, the all-electric cranes that happened just last week. We invited the Academy grads, a dozen of them showed up. So we have 55 grads at this point. So 12 out of 55 for a daytime event. Many of the people in the Academy work during the day, and they are hourly employees. So for them to take time off is a big deal for them. Again, this Academy is targeted at grassroots, and some of the folks are retired and some are salaried, but I think it's worth noting that most of them are hourly employees, not port employees. So for them to show up for a daytime event, I think speaks volumes to the value they see in the program.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And there's a question that I think got posed to American Canyon, but I like it, and so I'm going to pose it to you as well. Just in how you get staff buy-in for participating in this, or putting the curriculums together, all that.
Great question. So one of the reasons we launched the Academy was for business purposes. Maritime has had challenges in being able to expand their business due to opposition from neighboring communities. And so, I thought, well, gosh, if people have a better understanding of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and that we are moving very rapidly, far ahead of the state requirements to achieve zero emissions, then perhaps the community would be more supportive in maritime industrial uses on port tidelands, close to where they live. And frankly, there was not support in the maritime division. But the CEO supported it, and I said, let's try it. We'll see if it works. And so now Maritime is not only supportive, they now fund half of the cost of the program, which is not insignificant. Our consultants are really well paid, and we provide a really nice meal every session. And the cost to run 4 cohorts a year is about $200,000, and that's not including staff time. So Maritime has put their money into the program because they see the value.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, good. Thank you for that. I might go a little off script and ask both Allie and Allison to come back on camera if they're able to. And I'd like to ask kind of one closing question, and that is, what's the one piece of advice that you would give to folks that might be considering putting together a Citizen Academy? Is it worth it? What's the one piece of advice? And Michael, you had a few pieces of advice in your presentation, so thank you for that. But definitely would love to hear from Allie and Allison their thoughts as well.
Allie, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I think the one piece of advice is, it's not going to be perfect. And I think the great thing about this program is you can continue to evolve and make it into something you really want it to be. And if you just start from somewhere and you have a good sense or an idea of what you want to do, and developing a program or a curriculum that's designed around what your goals and initiatives are to engage and connect with your community. I think finding a start point and then recognizing that it's not going to be perfect the first time you do it, and that each year it's just going to get better and better and better, because word of mouth really does help with these programs. And really, if you can just understand, if you're in tune with your community, which I'm sure most of you are, you can build a pretty solid program and go into it with your best 2 feet forward, and then the next year, and then do a survey at the end of it, really get the feedback from your participants. And then that way you can incorporate that feedback for next year. That my only advice is just, you got to start somewhere, and don't set the bar too high for yourself, and just create a program that's designed around your community, and then you can evolve it and make it into something you can continue to grow and build on that.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I agree with Allie in terms of calling your first one a pilot. So it's really okay to learn and develop it and improve it. And then I just go back to making it interactive. People are coming off long days, and we want to make sure that the program is going to excite them and that they want to come and they want to learn and they want to engage. So get your team together, brainstorm on activities, as well as opportunities that the public normally doesn't get to see. Like wastewater treatment plants are awesome, and go out to the, transfer station. As I mentioned before, the jail tour is so popular because most people never get booked into the jail. Or even going into social services behind those doors that people see but never go behind to meet the staff and understand the process. So keep it interactive, think about through the lens of public in terms of, pulling back that curtain so they really feel like they're seeing the inner workings of their local government. I think that takes away the sense of builds transparency and trust, and it's just a lot of fun too.
Awesome. Thank you. And Michael, any quick last word on advice for folks?
I would just, socialize it widely among your peers, make sure they understand the objectives and have an opportunity to weigh in.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for imparting that wisdom. I think we're definitely excited to see how this conversation today can certainly ignite some inspiration and get some other resident academies going throughout the state. I will note, Michael, I saw you responded to Stephen's question about whether you could share the survey that you put together. I think we'll go ahead and also try and get a copy of that to share with all the participants, as I think that might be a really great just tool. So thank you for your willingness to share that with all those interested. We'll definitely be doing that in the near future as we follow up with this. But thank you all so much for that. We have a couple of closing comments. If Nikita, you can reshare the PowerPoint, we can close out. Great. All right. So one of the things is we definitely want to do a final poll on, we just like to hear, hearing what you heard today, reflecting on the success of these resident academies, will your agency consider starting one of its own? Let us know. And as that poll is still open, Nikita, if you will go to the next slide there for me, next one. We also like to just share with you all the different services that ILG provides. Particularly, we do have a tiers training and a tiers framework that showcases best practices for how to do engagement at different levels. We offer interpretation equipment, so sometimes you're trying to have a meeting in a different language. We do offer the equipment, so for the smaller jurisdictions who might not have that, we are readily available to you for that. We also have different tips and fact sheets, resources on our website, so I encourage you to check all that out at our website listed there. On the next slide, you'll see also we do provide technical assistance and training support and services, so please always reach out anytime you're looking to set up, whether that be a resident academy or anything else. Really, we're here to support you. And with that, we wanted to put in a plug for our meeting mastery training that's taking place next month, October 23rd and 24th, for meeting facilitation and meeting design training for our local government folks. So if you're being tasked with running a public meeting or community workshop and you want to improve or brush up on facilitation skills and get best tips for how to do engaging designs for the training, we encourage you to sign up for Meeting Mastery, again, taking place next month. Next slide here kind of just talks about staying connected with us, stay informed through our newsletter, as well as follow us on social media. so that you can stay up to date with all of our offerings, as well as just all the happenings going on, so that you get all the latest information. We'll be sharing, next slide, we'll be sharing the recording for this, as well as the PowerPoint presentations that were shared today in a follow-up within a few days after the webinar. So with that, I think our final slide just says thank you so much to all of our presenters, and for you all for participating and giving us your attention today. We really appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.